This is a short bite episode of Homeschool Together. Hello and welcome to Homeschool Together. Thanks so much for joining us. This is a short bite edition. We're back to reviewing games because that is what our DNA calls for. We are reviewing a game that, long line of deductive reasoning games, figuring out the code games. And this game is called Code Crackers. And Arial was a venture capitalist and invested in this growing proto-Facebook board game. Tell us more about what you did.
Well, it was a Kickstarter. It's not that exciting. It was a Kickstarter. We were
tell people what, some people may not know what Kickstarter or Indiegogo or those type of platforms.
Well, yeah. And if you don't know, it's just it's crowdfunding so that they can get the capital to make these games. And
so this game they asked for like $8,000 or $10,000.
Yeah, I think they wanted like $7,500 to make the game, and they got more than that. They raised more than that. We heard about this through Board Game Babies Instagram, which we love, and we'll link it in the show notes because that's really fun. We heard about it from them. They had gotten a proto of the game, and we love deductive reasoning type games. And this one is a math game. Yep. So the Kickstarter just came out, and we got our copy, and we've been playing it like mad for the last week. So we wanted
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun, and they have copies that they're actually selling now that the Kickstarter is over on their website, and we'll put the link in the show notes. So we wanted to share it with you because we have been digging it, and it is like awesome math practice.
Big time.
So basically the way that
But it's not just like one level of math. It's like beginner's math, and then it can go into this crazy turbo math.
So there's the regular version, and then there's the big brain edition. I bought the big brain edition because
we got big brains.
Well, So basically the game it's a 2-player game. It takes about 20 minutes or so to play. Yeah. It's a 2-player game, and the basic game, you start with a 3-digit code. So you have 11 cards, 0 through 10, and then a lock card. And you shuffle those, and you take a certain amount, and you choose your code. Now, the lock card is just it's not a number. It makes the puzzle a little bit harder. When we played this with our daughter, we took the lock card out just to make it a little easier. So you have this 0 through 10, and you have to make a code out of it. You start with a 3-digit code, and each of you has a 3-digit code. And then you will draw cards that actually have questions on them to ask the other person about their code. And you use that to find answers, to start, puzzling together what their code could be. So the questions will be like, what is the sum of the first and second numbers in your code? And so, there's a dry erase board that you have, and it has all of the cards, all those categories listed on the board. So it has spots for you to write in the numbers once you figure out what they are. It has spots for you to check off which numbers it is not. And all of the questions, it has a block for you to write the answer. So it's all set out for you. It's all laid out. There's one, what is the sum of all the cards? In what position is the highest number? And
then it also asks you simple questions like, do you have a 2?
Right.
Do you have a 5?
What is the lowest number in your code?
How many evens do you have? How many odds do you have? Yeah, really just like keys in on a lot of those early math concepts, simple addition. It doesn't have any like subtraction, like what's the difference between these two?
No, it doesn't have any difference.
So it's all summing. Yeah. I think it rested mainly on summing. So if you're trying to get this as for the simple addition, like they just called it the regular,
Yeah, this is the regular one. So it does, do you have this number? It has what is your highest number? What is your lowest number? In what position, of the 1, 2, 3 or whatever, a number of digits in your code, in what position is your highest or lowest number? How many evens or odds are there? What's the sum of the first and last? What's the sum of the first and second and third? High and low? What's the sum of the highest and lowest number? What's the sum of all the numbers together? So all those pieces of information come together for you to be able to try to guess the code. As soon as you think you know the code on your next turn, you can guess it. If you are wrong, you just keep playing. You basically lost your turn. If you're right, then the other player will go ahead and dispose of their code, and they will draw new cards and do a new code, and this time instead of 3 digits, it's 4 digits.
Yep.
So you keep playing until until somebody has solved up to the 5-digit code. So it's kind of fun because the game is actually played in rounds that way. Now you can make it shorter by just playing 3 digits or 4 digits or 5 digits or whatever, but the actual game is supposed to be played as a progression. So you solve progressively more difficult puzzles, and whoever is the first to solve them. It's kind of fun. Like when I played with my daughter the first time, she solved the 3-digit code faster than I did, but then I solved 4 and 5 faster. I ended up winning by like 1 turn.
Wow.
And it's kind of cool. One of the things I like about it is you could come up with how to ask these questions just off the top of your head. But this is nice because the cards really lock you in. First of all, they make it a little bit more difficult because you can't just ask anything you want to ask. It's not a free-for-all.
Yeah.
You have to stick with what the card says. Secondly, it gives, especially for, your learner, it gives them the question. They don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And my daughter had to read all the cards. So that was a little bit of reading practice
yeah.
that came in there too. They're repetitive enough that she was able to read them, and that was pretty cool. And she was able to figure it out. It's like, okay, I have these pieces of information. I know what the first and last sum is. I know what this is. And she had to do a ton of mental math to figure out what that code had to be. So that was super cool. And like I said, we took the lock out. There isn't any cards that specifically ask about the lock. So unless you know that there isn't a 0, it could be a lock or it could be a 0. Because it's a null value. So this was great. It had a ton of mental math, sums, deductive reasoning. And then there's the big brain edition. So this one is super fun. And we haven't been able to play this with our daughter yet because it is
a couple of years out.
Yeah. It's a couple years out. So in this one, it's sums, but it's like first of all, the code, rather than going up to just 5, the code goes all the way to 7. It starts at 4. I think maybe it starts at 5 and you go 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
So the code is longer. It does sums like first 3 positions, first, second, first, third, and last, second, fourth, and fifth, all the cards, the 3 highest, the 3 lowest, so it's some different sums. It also does products. So the product of the first 2 positions or the last 2 positions or the first times the last number or the third times the fourth number, all
That's
these
awesome.
different multiplications. It also has number of perfect roots and how many numbers are divisible by 3 or divisible by 2.
Wow.
So it's like that much better as far as the math that's involved. This is a total math and logic deduction reasoning game. It's perfect for game schooling.
Yeah. It feels like it's like just a dream for those of us trying to slot in a fun math-based game.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy it. And
for like, not like early learners, like we're starting to think about like 2nd, 3rd, 4th type of grade.
Although
for the big brain edition.
We're doing the regular version of Code Crackers with our 6-year-old who is not quite 7. She is doing math at a 1st grade level, so you take that kind of with what you will. But I definitely think you can play it depending on the math level of your kid. Yeah. It's funny. I bought this to play it with you. I actually bought this because we love code type stuff. Yeah. And I thought, wow, this would be really fun to take on like a date night or something out to a restaurant. So you can play this.
Slim profile.
Profile. You don't have to, it's just thinky enough. And because the cards are there, you can't just outsmart me with your questions, right? Because you would ask perfectly pointed questions to figure the whole thing out. But I like that the playing field is evened a little bit by the randomness of the cards, that I only have the information I have. And while you're drawing and stuff, I can think about it and go like, okay, I actually don't have enough information to make a determination yet. Whereas you would come up with the perfect question to ask to help you get all the way down the path, and you would totally like smoke me every time. So I love this. So I bought this for us to play together because I really didn't think that our daughter would be able to play the initial version as that and she totally is.
Yeah, it feels like if you enjoy Masterminds, which was kind of like the code breaker with the colors and the pegs, if you like that game, this is like a perfect add-on to
Yeah,
that type of
totally.
game. Very much the same idea. You're trying to solve a code, but you're using math instead of like choosing the colors and deducing colors and in the pattern of that code.
Mm-hmm.
This one you're doing a lot more math, and I like it. So they kind of got. I would almost put those two together, and they're just
It's very similar to Mastermind, and our daughter really loves Mastermind.
She
So I
does.
think that's why she naturally took to this game. But she's a shark, man. She's good at this game, she is making a lot of like first and third, first and last.
Her mental math skills have come along a lot this year, especially since we started doing the Math Mammoth curriculum earlier this year. Since then, I thought conceptually that curriculum really helped her just do a lot of math in her head, just kind of get used to doing a lot of math. And so I think that has really helped. And so one of the cool things that she does a lot right now, especially as we're nearing the end of the Right Start Math curriculum, part B, level B, I think it is. She's just doing enormous amounts of mental math. I have to force her to show her work half the time. So it's really cool. And this game dovetails right into that. So when you said she's doing a lot of mental math, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked.
Yeah, I think that's the great part about this. And I was able to, the very first time I did have to prompt her a little bit. And I would say to her,
you got information you need to start to try to solve.
Yeah, I would say like,
I think she was just gathering the information, was just kind of playing. And then you had to like tell her, you got to figure this thing out.
Right. The first couple times I was like, I was like, you have enough information to solve this. And then I would like walk away and get a drink of water. And she'd be like, I do. And then she'd start putting it together. And I could see her working piece by piece with each piece of information that she had. I gave her another piece of paper so she could do other writing on it. And it was great because she was like, okay, wait, the only two possibilities are this, but I know this other piece of information. And I kept hearing her go, I was like,
I know.
Yeah, she was figuring it all out. So I love how the game gave so many aha moments. I haven't been as excited about a game in a while as this one because I was so excited. I was like, man, this is coming out the next time we go out to eat, just two of us. Like, this is perfect.
Yep. Next time we go and get dumplings or something.
Yeah, we're going to take this game and play it at the restaurant.
Crazy people playing board games.
We are those people. When you're at the restaurant, you see a random couple like playing a board game while they're eating. That's us.
That's us. No apologies. No apologies.
So check out the link down below and check out and grab a copy of Code Crackers. And if you really want to have an extra mental math workout, then check out the Big Brain Edition.
Big Brain Edition gives you both versions of the game.
Yeah, you get both.
You don't have to just buy one or the other. You get both with the Big Brain.
Yeah. And I'm happy that we invested in the larger one because I think it's got, for our big brains, it's got more to think about, and pretty excited about that.
Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time,
happy homeschooling!